Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
I found the ring my boyfriend plans to propose to me with. It's $10. Don't know what to do. We've been together for 7 years. I've always known that money was tight with him. His schedule is tight too. He's going to law school and working a part-time job while I work full-time. All of our money goes to bills or savings because we're saving up to get a down payment on a house. It's been like this since senior year of college. I've been understanding of his situation and toughing it out since I know once we get through this rough patch, we'll be spending time together like we used to as we've talked about it before. I also know he's been planning to propose, and this was confirmed when I found the ring. With the price tag. That said $10 from Alibaba. I don't know why, but I broke down crying. I want to spend the rest of my life with this man, and I definitely see him in my future. Our future. But this is not the ring I want to be proposed with.
Late night store clerks, what is the strangest things that's happened on the job? A guy came in to buy beer after hours, told him I couldn't sell, it was against the law. He pulled out a badge, said I am the law. I called 911 and a cop shows up, tells me if I can just let it go, I wouldn't have any more problems. I let it go. 2 weeks later, driving home late at night, way over the speed limit, I got pulled over. It was cop number 2, he came up to the car, recognized me, said slow down and left. I worked at a small convenience store in the early 1990s. They had one of those fried delis that had chicken, JoJo's, corn dogs, burritos etc. This particular night I had run out of burritos and chicken. I also shut the thing down and cleaned it all out about an hour before closing. About 5 minutes before I was closing up, a guy walked in and asked for some burritos. I told him I was out of them, and that I was just about to close and the fryer was shut down. He walked around the store for a minute. I assumed he was looking for something else to buy, and then he came up to the counter, pulled out a knife and told me if I didn't cook him some burritos he was going to stab me. I freaked out, but told him I had none to cook. I showed him the freezer and told him I would happily cook anything he wanted from it, but he will see I was out of burritos. He looked in it for a minute, turned to me and said, "You really are out?" I replied, "Yeah." He then put the knife away and left the store. Terrifying confession. Has someone told you while drunk? It was me who did the confessing. When I was 18 I was assaulted on a bridge in the middle of the night when I was all alone. My mom works in hearing, and she had always told me to bite someone if I got into trouble. So I did. I bit into his neck until my teeth met again. He fell down and I ran all the way home. A few weeks later I read in the news that a serial assaulter had gone to the hospital with neck wounds and later died. They'd drawn it down to him attacking someone and them acting in self-defense. I never told anyone until I got really drunk with my boyfriend last year and spilled it. He couldn't believe I'd kept that secret.
What's the best theory on UFOs or aliens you've ever heard? If aliens are on this planet, they are likely using the ocean as a place to hide. That greys aren't fully biological, but rather remotely controlled androids. Or that they are biological, but their gray appearance is a suit and not the actual body. Imagine other life forms looking at our astronauts saying, "Here come the marshmallow cyclops creatures again." Forgot to say. I reckon we are very DNA planted here and they come to check on their experiment from time to time. Aliens landed once in Africa. Got eaten by lions. Planet now marked as dangerous by the galactic feds. That explains why Australia never has sightings. Aliens don't necessarily mean an intelligent civilization. Yeah. Alien just means a living organism not from Earth. So if we found a plant, fungus, protozoa, bacteria, etc. on another planet, it would be an alien.
You have 24 hours with no internet or mobile phone access. What do you do to pass the time? It was 2020, peak pandemic, and my phone and laptop both broke. I was without internet and tech for 3 months. I read around 40 books, taught myself algebra and botany from textbooks that belonged to my late grandfather. I was either teaching via my neighbor's phone, reading, eating, working out or sleeping. Most personally productive 3 months I've had in a long time. Read. Put together one of my 1,000-piece puzzles or crack open my 5,000 so I can get discouraged and hide it away again. Start putting together a papercraft model. Paint my D&D miniatures. Play offline games, hang out with the kids, play sports, watch Blu-rays etc. Glad I was born pre-internet. This is easy, and being an adult I have a garage full of tools. Crank up the old radio and rock out with my cock out. My husband just fat-shamed our daughter and I'm beyond livid. This happened earlier. We were sitting eating dinner, then my 13-year-old daughter got up from her seat and made her way to one of the top cabinets to grab a plate. She couldn't reach the cabinet and complained about it. My husband said, "Well, you couldn't reach the cabinet because you're fat." My daughter was stunned. I mean, he did make comments about her putting on weight lately but never outright called her fat. She said, "What does height has to do with weight?" He said, "The fatter you are the shorter you get. You've put on some serious amount of weight and should really do something about it before it's too late." This set me off. Our daughter rushed out crying and refused to finish her dinner. He was like, "Well, that's a start." When I told him he caused her to miss dinner, we had a huge fight and he accused me of coddling her rather than actually looking after her the way he does. She's in her room right now and is still crying from what he said. I'm beyond livid. I am so mad because I don't want her to think that her worth is in her weight or physical appearance. I hate how he basically put her self-esteem down and made her cry.
What makes a person boring? When their personality is just talking about how much they work. Answering questions but never asking them or attempting to continue the conversation. Absolute no sense of humor. Having no opinions of their own.
What's the most badass thing you've accidentally said in the heat of the moment? Go wait with mommy, daddy might be going back to jail again. Guy pushed my 5-year-old daughter at the fish store and she started crying. When he heard me say that he ran out of the store. I've never been to jail before. I was crazy about this dude. He was intelligent, hot, funny, and a bit older. After a few weeks of dating he said he wasn't ready for a commitment. I told him to come pick up his book from my place, and not to reach out again as it hurt too much. I was that into him. So he comes to my apartment, I go to hand him the book, and begin to shut the door. He puts his foot in the way to stop it and says, "I don't know what to do. I'm not ready, but I can't stop thinking about you." Moving my hand off the door, I hand him the book anyways and said then pick me up at 7. Anyways, now we're married.
Americans of Reddit, what is something the rest of the world needs to hear? Our national parks are breathtaking. Guys, charging to use the public bathroom is weird. We drive cars because public transportation is non-existent for most people. I live 10 minutes out in the country from my nearest town and 30 to 45 minutes from the nearest city. I have to have a car or else I'm not getting anywhere. Stop telling us where various cities are located as if we're too stupid to figure it out. We know where Paris is. It's in Texas. It's not that we don't want to visit other countries, it's that for the majority of Americans, Canada and Mexico are a day or two drive away, and paying over $1,000 to get a round-trip ticket overseas isn't something a lot of people can justify buying. Y'all are getting fat too. We're not even in the top 10 anymore. We hate our politicians as much as non-Americans do. We do indeed have a few good ones trying to do the right thing, but they are heavily outnumbered by both people, votes and money.
I'd be that asshole if I asked my pregnant wife to move out because she and her best friend decided to test my loyalty. My wife is pregnant with our daughter. Initially we were really happy and excited about it. But then, she starts acting like a nutjob. She gets angry and irritated for small things, insults me when she doesn't like the food I make, starts acting insecure and accuses me of losing attraction for her. For example, she wanted to eat chicken sandwiches for dinner last week. Well, I made chicken sandwiches. So she eats all the sandwiches, leaves me nothing and told me that they tasted like shit. I wasn't pissed because she left me nothing. But if she didn't like them, why did she have to eat everything? When I asked her this she told me that she was hungry. Okay fine. She does this every time. Eats everything I make and calls it shit. I don't argue with her because I work for more than 80 hours a week and I really want to have some peace when I'm home. So, yesterday, a random girl starts at flirting with me after the gym and asked me if I wanted to meet up with her for some drinks. I rejected her and told her that I was married. And when I got home, my wife started to hug me and apologize. When I asked her what happened, she told me that her best friend suggested a test for my loyalty. So they asked a mutual friend to flirt with me and asked me out. And I passed. Yay. I'm really pissed. I'm done with her antics. Would I be the asshole if I ask her to move out? You have 24 hours with no internet or mobile phone access, what do you do to pass the time? It was 2020, peak pandemic and my phone and laptop both broke. I was without internet and tech for 3 months. I read around 40 books, taught myself algebra and botany from textbooks that belonged to my late grandfather. I was either teaching via my neighbor's phone, reading, eating, working out or sleeping. Most personally productive 3 months I've had in a long time. Read. Put together one of my 1,000-piece puzzles or crack open my 5,000 so I can get discouraged and hide it away again. Start putting together a papercraft model. Paint my D&D miniatures. Play offline games, hang out with the kids, play sports, watch Blu-rays etc. Glad I was born pre-internet. This is easy, and being an adult I have a garage full of tools. Crank up the old radio and rock out with my cock out.
It finally happened. I woke up near starting time at school. 30 plus years teaching, never a day late. Came home exhausted, fell asleep and woke up at 7:40. I live 20 minutes away. School starts at 7:50. Called my principal in a panic, said I'd be in as soon as I could. There was a long pause. Then he replied, "Go back to bed, it is 7:40 at night." The next day I told him if he told anyone, I was going to need 2 weeks off to recover from the embarrassment. Have conversations with my dead son in the car. My 13-year-old died in Peru after getting caught in a whirlpool. We were on vacation. His mom, my ex, blamed me for his death, and our other son also blames me, so he doesn't speak to me. He's now 13 too. I don't force him to see me. When I drive home from work, I pretend that I am talking to my son about how his day was at school, what kind of music he wants to listen to, what he wants for dinner, etc. That is why I haven't gotten a new car. There are just too many memories. As a 30-year-old man, I realize I'm too boring to date. I don't like drinking or getting high. I don't like sports or parties. I'm very introverted. I do like building things with Legos. I love taking care of my carnivorous plants and how challenging they are. I love collecting old coins and dinosaur bones. The most exciting thing I'm hoping to try soon is making some mods for Fallout 4 and effing Skyrim. I think to make things worse for me, as I was raised homeschooled, meaning absolutely nothing in my life can really be shared or have a common ground for connection. I don't feel bitter or angry at women for not being interested in someone like me. But what's a dumb human like me supposed to be? What is the weirdest thing someone has told you in confidence? My married friend has 3 kids. He's exhausted. While taking the train to work, a woman he always sees struck up a conversation with him, said she knows him as the tired guy because he always passes out on the train. He explained why, so she reveals she is a hotel manager and can get him a room for free. He took her up on the offer. Which sounds like an affair, right? Nope. My friend actually has an ongoing deal with this lady where she lets him crash in a hotel room if it's open. He tells his wife that he is visiting family, but all he does is sleep in a room, away from his wife and kids. At my urging, he admitted the truth to his wife because keeping that a secret will just lead her to assume he's unfaithful. When he told her the truth, she replied, "I believe you. You'd never cheat on me. You have no game." People who moved out of the parents' house before 30, how? Got kicked out at 14. Finished high school sleeping on friends' couches while serving tables. Had a ton of roommates for the next 10 years. At any given time I was living with like 3 or 4 people, it was never boring, haha. Started working while I was in school. Got out as soon as I could. I moved out at 19. My mom and stepdad moved to the other end of the town because rent was a lot cheaper. But I didn't want to live there, so I looked for a small cheap flat, found one, had a job, some savings. Somehow it worked out. Eventually found some used furniture and a new bed. Life was much cheaper like 15 years ago. My dad died when I was 17 and my stepmom kicked me out. Sink or swim, baby. All that aside, I don't think there's any shame in staying with your family in this economy as long as you're contributing. Communal living is going to be the new norm. ETA, yes, the new old North American focused old new norm.